Welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast, where we interview some of the most interesting people that have said yes to opportunities in their life. We hope that through these stories, you can learn to create your own destiny by saying yes along the way. Join us as we explore the new series covering topics such as passion, integrity, and hard work. I'm your host, Jim Riley, and I hope you enjoy these interviews as much as I do. I believe that everyone has an important message worth hearing. Hello and welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We've had a great week here in Montana. I hope you're enjoying your lives and your confinement and making the most out of your day. This is a prime opportunity to take advantage of all those back burner projects and get things rolling. And I've got a special guest on the show today, and his name is Brad Lea. Brad, how are you today?
Good, man. Thanks for having me, Jim.
I'm thrilled to have you here because your messages have been so encouraging to me on Instagram, and I'm an optimist. I'm thrilled with, not thrilled with what's going on, but I'm happy for the extra time at home to work on projects. And I was looking through my to-do list and notes, and I realized after going through them today and updating some of your information that about 10 of my 20 messages came from you. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
So, I saw a highlight on you, and it said from high school dropout to 20 million in revenue. And we like to hear people's backgrounds on this show. Would you mind giving us some of your background and how things started for you? I mean, high school dropout's a pretty big message.
Well, just because you dropped out of high school doesn't necessarily mean you're uneducated. It just means that you stopped early. So. Yeah. Fortunately, I paid attention in school and I learned pretty much everything they had to teach. I was tested out at college levels in my sophomore year anyway. But I got kicked out of my house because I didn't mow the lawn. And I said I would. And my dad came home. He drank a lot, not a lot. Well, I mean, yeah, a lot. But, he came home drunk and, wanting to be a big shot. I had my friend with me, so he kicked me out because I didn't mow the lawn. And so ultimately, I didn't have any supervision at a very young age. And so I quit school like an idiot. But I dropped out of school and started learning everything the hard way, got job, mastered sales, became very good at sales. Sales led me to start a training company teaching sales. And then that led me to see the error in most people's training programs. See, most companies, they're not training people effectively and they're not even aware of it. In order to train people effectively, you need 4 key ingredients: good content, repetition, practice, and accountability. And if most companies or business owners analyze and look at their training program or their training, how they train their people, it's not effective. They don't have enough repetition. They're not practicing. They don't have accountability. And so it doesn't work as effectively as it should. And so I sat out to create a platform that allowed me to deliver my training with repetition, practice, and accountability. And it worked so well with my content that I started showing it to all of the, big name subject matter experts like Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone and Zig Ziglar and John Maxwell and all these people. And I closed them on using my technology to train their people. And it worked so well that that made me, 8 figures and put me in the spotlight as a software CEO. And that gave me kind of the attention I get on social media. And, I just want to get the knowledge from the people who have it to the people who need it, because I think that's how you succeed. People are failing because they don't have the right information.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you talk about repetition, going back to the high school program. My brother's the COO of In-N-Out Burger, actually recently retired. Sister-in-law is the owner. And everybody compliments that company and what they're able to do. And if you think about it, the repetitive nature of what they do every day and doing it the best to their abilities, is the fruit of their success. And interestingly enough, my brother barely made it through high school. I mean, if he could have dropped out, he probably would have. But learning those early lessons in life about repetition, doing it well, has allowed him to succeed in one of the biggest or most successful fast food restaurants in the world.
And it's so important. Oh yeah, I love In-N-Out, bro.
Are you in Las Vegas?
Yes.
Yeah, I see the sunshine in your background. It's raining here in Montana.
Well, dude, I'll tell you though, Montana's a cool state.
Yeah, we're very fortunate up here. The other interesting aspect of your career is that I read your story and you left Oregon and you thought you were going to be a movie star, and all these things, and all of a sudden you started selling to make a living, and that had to be hard to transition from, hey, I'm going to be a celebrity, to all of a sudden I'm selling anything I can get my hands on. How did you make that mental shift to turn that into what ultimately became a success?
Well, I got tired of being broke. That's why I stopped chasing the actor dream. If you want something bad enough, you're willing to put up with whatever it, requires. Well, I must not have wanted to be a movie star that bad because, you know, years of being broke and starving, I'm like, dude, this is stupid. I got to get some work. And I found sales obviously was my natural ability in most cases. So I just said, screw it. I gotta make some money, man. So it was easy transition. I got tired of being hungry.
Yeah. The other interesting aspect of your business is you were going out on the road training people, and you had enough self-awareness to realize, hey, these people need more repetition. And all of a sudden you start developing software and programming. Where was that in your background to become a software developer? I mean, it seems like it was out of necessity, but you had the intuition to go after it.
Yeah, well, fortunately, there's other people in the world that didn't drop out of school and they knew how to program and develop, software. So I found people that knew how. I still don't know how. I'm a CEO that can barely send an email.
What, is that an age thing?
No, I mean, I exaggerate when I say that, but I definitely don't know how to code. I don't write programs. I'm not a developer, but you can hire those. A lot of times people say, hey, you mentioned in an article that you had a PhD and a couple of MBAs. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, another one, you said you dropped out of high school. And I'm like, no, they work for me. So at the end of the day, you don't need a high school diploma to get a PhD. Okay. You need money. So at the end of the day, you can drop out of school and end up with a PhD.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm just, I only got a couple of classes in college and realized that working hard paid off a lot better, and the lessons in life. You mentioned a couple names like Grant Cardone and Zig Ziglar. You worked with General Motors and the like. They were what you had mentioned in an article as competitors, people that might be taking your business. So you went after them to become customers. Is that right?
That's right. Ultimately, I built my company up to a certain point and then started running into the big names, the major brands, the people with larger advertising budgets, bigger, careers than mine. Obviously, I was kind of an unknown. So rather than compete and try to fight them and outspend them and try and convince everyone that I was better, I just figured I'll collaborate with them. Sometimes collaboration gets you farther than competing.
Yeah, I look at you as somebody that's offering a lot of great advice to people. And when we think about our competitors, it's intimidating, especially when you use names like Grant Cardone and Zig Ziglar, people who've been around and are making a lot of money, seem successful. How do you make that call?
Well, I mean, it's just a decision. It boils down to the choices that you make. Everything really boils down to the choices that you make. I could have said, hey, screw it. I'm going to compete with these guys and I'm going to, make it no matter what. And, all that tenacity that they tell you to have. And I could have went broke because I had a fraction of their ad budget. I didn't even have an ad budget, but I mean, I could have, overcame and powered through, but listen to what's going on. Be willing to make adjustments. You don't have to be like, are you trying to be rich or are you trying to be right? You got a choice. And in this case, I was trying to be rich and I wanted to be successful and I wanted to help people learn. And if it wasn't my content that did it, and it was, let's say, Tony Robbins, look, dude, I'm still never going to compete with Tony Robbins, even if I tried to. Like, there's not going to be another Tony Robbins, just like there's not going to be another Zig Ziglar, right? But Zig Ziglar, a lot of people don't know anymore. Why? Well, because he's old. Matter of fact, he's passed away. But at the end of the day, nobody's listening to Benjamin Franklin anymore either. So at the end of the day, there's room for new. But sometimes if you want to compete, you better get ready for a battle. When you collaborate, you ride with them. And personally, I don't really like hard labor. Ever since I was young, I had a hard labor job. I don't like it. So I decided to frickin' do it the smart way instead of the hard way.
You had a little bit on your Instagram the other day. It was never introduce yourself this way. It was really funny to me because you were acting like somebody who was very timid and shy. And I would imagine when you made those calls to Grant Cardone, it was the exact opposite of that.
Oh yeah. You can't view somebody as better than you. They might be ahead of you, but they're not better than you.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people lack confidence because they always put people on a pedestal that are, like, as you said, we're all just people. We're equal. We have different jobs and different successes, but we're all equal in the world. This is certainly an equalizer, this COVID-19. I've seen a lot of people getting crushed or the lack of strength to be motivated to get through this. What are you telling some of your clients in terms of staying motivated and not getting crushed?
Well, I just, remind them that waking up is the true gift. Right? Don't live in the past, you'll be depressed. Don't live in the future, you'll be anxious. So live in the now. And what can we do right now? I tell them, the sky isn't falling and there's no doom and gloom. And, there's more opportunity now than there was before COVID. You're being forced to ultimately get on the internet to find people, which has more people than any individual city in the country anyway. So really it's an opportunity, but I'm just telling people to, take action and get yourself out of it. As soon as you accept it, now you can start figuring out how to get out of it. It's too many people sitting trying to figure out why it happened and who's at fault and who's lying and what's really going on. And, dude, accept the fact that you're stuck at home. They've told you to shelter in place. They've shut down non-essential businesses. So let's get ready to rock, adapt, and let's move.
Yeah. You talk about giving advice when you wake up in the morning, looking at the 5 ways you can make money every day. And what's funny is that's one of the items on my yellow pad that I look at every day. And I didn't even realize it came from you till I went back through some of my notes or some of your Instagram posts. I've written down, I think I've got 7 on there, and every morning I address those 7 ways I can make money. And it's interesting. I've made more money and done bigger deals in the last 45 days than I've done in a long time, not without looking at that list. Tell us about that list for you and that advice, because it's been critical for me.
Well, ultimately, wherever you put focus and energy, you find growth, and the opposite is true. If you ignore things, it dies and goes away. So every morning I wake up with the gratitude I should have, which is that waking up is worth more than $1 million. I focus on 4 key areas first thing in the morning, which is health, get the blood pumping, eat right. Relationships, because the relationships are the new economy. I text 5 people to let them know that I'm thinking about them or something nice. I focus on revenue, 5 things that I have to do that day to drive revenue. And then I focus on my mind, which means I just open up a book and read 15 minutes. So if you wake up grateful, focus on your health, focus on relationships by texting 5 people something nice, focus on your money, focus on your revenue, 5 things that you have to do that day to drive revenue, and then focus on your mind, which is getting new information. You start to, automatically get in the habit of self-development. And then, 3-6 months later, dude, your life changes. You're making more money than you've ever have. You're more confident than you've ever been. You're more grateful than you've ever been. You're more positive than you've ever been. And ultimately it just, parlays into, wow, man. And then it just opens up the world. Momentum goes a long way.
Yeah, I agree with you. By the way, the 7th thing on my list is eBay. Sell stuff on eBay. Gary Vee talks a lot about jumping on eBay and recycling stuff at old pickup in my backyard. And because that was on my list, I'm like, I'm going to put this thing up for sale on Facebook Marketplace, and sold it yesterday for cash. And, it's just sitting there, and when you start generating ways to make revenue. And by the way, I met a great guy from Idaho that drove all the way up here to buy that thing. I thought, what a neat opportunity to meet people, get something out of the yard, make some money, and keep the momentum going. And, the economy moves by